Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to dig into something fundamental, I think. Maybe one of the oldest challenges in, well, human interaction, really.
Yeah, it's this huge gap, isn't it, between what people say about themselves, about their character, their reliability.
And what they actually do, what their actions show over time.
Exactly. So our mission today, for you listening, is to look at some source material on this and pull out the best way, maybe the most efficient, scientifically backed way to pick reliable allies or partners, vendors, you name it.
Who can you actually count on?
That's the question. And we're starting with this really ancient observation that just nails the whole conflict.
Okay.
It points out this basic asymmetry. Loads of people will tell you how kind or good they are. The source uses the term hesed for this.
Right, that proclaimed goodness.
Proclaimed goodness. But then straight away, it hits you with this rhetorical question. Where can you actually find a truly faithful person, someone loyal? The text calls them immunem.
Immunem. So hesed versus immunem. That's the core contrast, the saying versus the doing.
Precisely. It's low-cost talk versus high-cost action. Talk is cheap, easy, repeated, reliable action, especially when things get tough. Well, that's expensive. In terms of effort, consistency.
And the source implies finding that immunem person is pretty hard.
Yeah, the question, who can find them, strongly suggests the answer is, well, maybe almost nobody. Or at least they're very rare.
Okay.
So we have to take that scarcity seriously. The world isn't short on people talking about their dedication. What the sources are trying to help you do is see past that noise.
Especially when you're under the gun, right? Making a quick decision, hire someone, pick a supplier. And the source says relying just on their words, their promises, is basically the worst thing you can do. But why do we fall for it so easily? It feels like such a trap.
Well, I think it's partly evolutionary. Think about, high-stakes situations way back when. You needed allies fast.
Right, survival could depend on it.
Exactly. So relying on a quick promise, yeah, I'm with you. It's a fast way to figure things out, a shortcut.
Okay, a heuristic. It feels good in the moment.
It does.
Yeah.
It's sort of the path of least resistance for social selection. But the real deal, the immunem, the person who's consistently loyal,
Yeah.
that's high cost. It takes time to show that.
You can't prove long-term reliability in a quick chat.
No way. And that mismatch, that asymmetry, easy promises versus hard to demonstrate loyalty, means we're kind of wired to go for the easy signal,
Yeah.
which often leads to picking the wrong person.
And it's not just external pressure, is it? There's something going on inside our own brains. You mentioned the VMPFC.
Ah, yes, the ventromedial-prefrontal cortex. It's key for how we figure out social value, how we integrate that kind of information.
Yeah.
So when someone hits you with that instant positive self-declaration, I'm super reliable, my integrity is everything, your VMPFC gets a little excited.
That's a sugar rush?
Sort of. It
Yeah.
tends to overweight that immediate positive feeling. It feels good now.
Right.
But the downside is huge. Because it's overweighting the promise, it's simultaneously underweighting the need for actual long-term proof, the hard data.
So our brain chemistry kind of pushes us towards the easy answer, the nice-sounding promise.
It can, yeah. It biases us towards that immediate info, and we might just skip the verification step altogether.
And then you throw the halo effect on top of that.
Oh, absolutely. That just makes it worse.
Explain that again quickly.
Sure. So if someone seems really enthusiastic or articulate or just generally nice, projecting that hesed, that kindness,
Yeah?
that single positive trait acts like a halo. It sort of spills over. And you unconsciously start rating them higher on totally different things you haven't actually checked.
Like how diligent they are or how they handle a crisis.
Exactly. Or even financial responsibility. You just assume, well, they sound dedicated, so they must be reliable. But those two things might be completely separate. Your brain just links them because of that initial positive glow.
Wow. Okay, so we've got these internal biases making us want quick, feel-good answers, and we're surrounded by people who are happy to give us those answers, the self-promoters. The deck really feels stacked against us as evaluators.
It kind of is. Which brings us back to that core question from the source.
Yeah.
Is the loyal person, the immunem, genuinely rare? Or are they just, bad at shouting about themselves?
That's a key distinction, isn't it? Are we looking for a needle in a haystack, or is the needle just hiding quietly?
Well, the sources seem to suggest it's actually a bit of both. Or maybe a combination of factors. It's not just one thing. It's like a triple threat, making them hard to find.
Okay, break down that triple threat for us.
Right. First, I think we have to concede there's likely some genuine supply scarcity. The fact that this question, who can find them, keeps coming up for centuries. It implies that the number of people who really meet the standard for true, consistent loyalty is probably quite low.
It takes sustained effort, which maybe isn't that common.
Right. Second, there's exposure asymmetry. The people talking loudly about their hesed, their kindness or dedication. The cheap talkers, they dominate the conversation. They're noisy.
You hear them more.
You do. Whereas the truly faithful folks, the imanim, they tend to rely on their track record, not marketing buzz. They aren't out there shouting about it, so naturally, you're less likely to even notice them.
Now, the quiet professionals makes our job harder.
And the third factor, maybe the toughest one for us as evaluators, is the high verification cost. You just can't measure real loyalty, that consistent delivery on promises, in one meeting.
Yeah.
It demands looking at their long-term action history. You need proof of consistency, especially when things were difficult. And gathering that kind of historical data, it takes time, effort. It's costly.
Which is why people skip it.
Exactly. They default back to the easy promise.
And that high verification cost, skipping it, that's where things go wrong. Let's talk about that vendor story from the source material. It seems like a perfect example of picking words over data.
Oh, it really is. Classic scenario. A decision maker needs to choose a long-term supplier. Vendor A versus vendor B. Vendor A comes in, all guns blazing, slick presentation, talking constantly about their passion, their unwavering dedication, promising, 24-hour support, guarantee, big talk, pure hesed.
Selling the sizzle.
Totally. But when they were asked for, actual proof, records, logs, they kind of dodged it.
Yeah.
Did something like, our passion is the proof.
Uh-oh. And vendor B?
Vendor B was, well, honestly, probably a bit boring in comparison. Very low-key. Focused entirely on data.
Okay.
They showed up with logs, verifiable stuff, proof that, say, 98% of their issue resolutions happen within 4 hours. Their leak delivery rate for the past year was tiny, like 0.5%. And they offered contact details for actual clients who could vouch for their consistency.
That sounds like the obvious choice, looking back. But what happened?
Well, the decision maker got swept up by vendor A's enthusiasm, that potent mix, right? The VMPSE going, ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
And the halo effect making them seem competent all around. They chose vendor A.
Let me guess, disaster.
Pretty much. Predictable, really. Vendor A started missing deadlines almost immediately. That guaranteed 24-hour response became 2 days, then 4. Quality dropped.
Ouch.
Yeah, the whole thing imploded. They had to dump vendor A, start the search all over again, cost them a fortune, lost months of project time, all because they bought the promise instead of checking the receipts.
It's such a clear warning. The absolute worst thing is just taking someone's word for it when it comes to reliability.
It really is. That self-declaration alone is fool's gold.
So, okay, we know we have these biases. We know we need the hard data, the high-cost signal. How do we actually do that? We need a concrete plan, right? An if-then strategy for the listener, the evaluator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is one. A practical filter. It's basically one key action that cuts through all the noise.
All right, lay it out for us. What's the if?
If. Condition. You run into someone who's really laying it on thick about their own kindness, passion, integrity, basically, if they're verbally selling their hesed hard.
The moment you hear that heavy self-praise about character, then what? What's the then?
Then, action. You need to politely but firmly request just one piece of verifiable fulfillment evidence in the last 12 months. And this is crucial. It has to be evidence of continuous action.
Not just a one-off success story.
No. Think records, performance logs, maybe a contact at a third party who can speak to their sustained performance, especially through challenges. Not just a glowing testimonial about one good deed.
Okay, asking for that one piece of continuous data, why is that specific request so powerful, scientifically speaking?
Because it forces an immediate shift. You pivot the whole assessment away from their words, which are low cost and easy to fake,
Right.
and onto evidence that is high cost and really hard to falsify. Anyone can say they're dedicated in a meeting. It's much harder to fake a year's worth of performance logs showing a 0.5% error rate.
You're making them prove the consistency, which is the very definition of that immunum loyalty.
Precisely. And doing that dramatically increases the test's diagnosticity, its actual power, to tell the difference between someone who's genuinely reliable and someone who just talks a good game.
And it taps into that core principle, doesn't it? Behavioral consistency.
Absolutely. Past behavior remains one of the strongest predictors of future behavior. So when you demand that verifiable log, you're aligning perfectly with that ancient wisdom, judged based on the continuity of action data.
Plus, it acts as a filter against those biases. If they make big claims but can't produce even one piece of solid evidence.
Then the positive feeling from their has said, their self-praise, just evaporates. The halo effect shatters. You've instantly screened them out.
It's a high-cost signal filter. Only the genuinely consistent can get past it.
That's the idea. You create a barrier that protects you from the cheap talk.
Okay, let's quickly recap the main lessons here for everyone listening. 3 key takeaways.
All right. First, just accept that proclaimed kindness, has said, is everywhere. It's abundant. But genuine loyalty, the immunum, that's rare, and you have to actively look for it, test for it.
Got it.
Second, make it a rule. Always choose people based on continuity of action data, verifiable track records. Never, ever rely solely on what they say about themselves.
No matter how convincing they sound. And third,
use that if-then framework. If you hear strong self-praise about character, then demand that single piece of verifiable high-cost evidence of continuous fulfillment. That's your defense against those cognitive traps.
now there's a potential pitfall here, isn't there? People might hear this and think, okay, so all self-promotion is bad. Anyone who talks about their strengths is suspect.
Yeah, that's an oversimplification. It's the wrong takeaway. The real key isn't avoiding self-promotion altogether, it's embracing falsifiability.
Falsifiability, meaning?
Meaning, it's okay to listen to the pitch, the self-declaration that has said. Treat it as, an entry point, a claim. But your very next step has to be, can they connect that claim to actual verifiable external evidence? If they can, great. If they can't or won't, then you stop right there. You accept the claim provisionally, but you always demand the data link.
That feels much more practical. It's not about cynicism, it's about verification. A smarter filter for a world full of noise. Thanks, this has been incredibly insightful.
My pleasure. It's a critical skill to develop.
So for you, listening right now, as you start applying these filters, looking for those truly reliable immunum, here's a final thought to chew on, building on that idea of looking for proof. If real reliability hinges on this action continuity, on having that verification log, what does your own log look like? How could documenting your consistent follow-through make you the very person others are searching for? Something to think about. We'll see you on the next deep dive.